Alright, I'm just gonna say it. Carlos Alcaraz might be the best tennis player we've ever seen. And before you call me insane, hear me out. This isn't a GOAT debate. Relax. I'm talking overall package. A guy who can beat you in every way on any given Sunday with a smile on his face. The wolf in sheep's clothing. And the match that kicked this whole thing off was the Qatar Open final. He played Arthur Fils for 50 minutes and won 6-2, 6-1, winning 89% of his first serve points and didn't face a single break point. A total demolition. So today we're pursuing the uncomfortable question. Is Alcaraz the best overall tennis player we've ever seen? And if he isn't right now, is he the first guy who genuinely looks like he could become it? If we're discussing GOATs, this is a non-debate. Carlos isn't there yet. This video is about the best ever player conversation. Because the trophies are one thing, the bigger reason this conversation exists is the way he wins. Sometimes it's heavy, high forehands, and you're trapped behind the baseline defending for your life. Sometimes you blink and he's dragged you forward with a drop shot, past you, and you're standing there thinking about your career choices. Sometimes you lift your level and he turns into a brick wall, sprinting sideline to sideline, and stealing points that your name was written all over. That's the premise. Now let's look at the numbers, because if we're going to talk best we've ever seen, we can't just guess our way through it. And let's keep this simple. 3 pillars that decide matches: hold, break, and a clutch gene. If a player thrives in those 3 lanes, the sport gets unfair very quickly. So let's start with the cleanest one. Over the last 52 weeks, Alcaraz has held 87.9% of his service games, which ranks 4th on tour, and the stat changes match dynamics immediately. It means he's rarely under scoreboard stress, and it means tiebreaks are always his for the taking. Now let's pair it with the return pressure, because a guy holding like that puts all the pressure back on you and your service games. He sits 2nd in return rating over the last 52 weeks, where he is winning 31% of his opponent's service games. So when you put these two together, you get a player who isn't losing to anyone that isn't playing out of their mind. Then comes the separator. The ATP tracks an under-pressure leaderboard built for moments that decide matches, breakpoints, tie-breaks, and deciding sets. And on that leaderboard for the last 52 weeks, Alcaraz is ranked number 1. And crazier yet, he ranks 3rd all time. So when it gets tight, he's the man you want to stack your chips on. But if the stats make a player, the player makes the career. So let's zoom out for a second, because this whole argument becomes way clearer once you look at how fast his career has moved. He became the youngest world number 1 in history. He became the youngest man to win Grand Slam titles on all 3 surfaces. And then there's the big one. He completed the career Grand Slam at the Australian Open as the youngest man ever to do it. Most shockingly, that Australian Open title was his 7th major, and it came in his 20th Grand Slam appearance. That is a 35% hit rate at Slam so far. But maybe the most insane part, he started his major final career 5-0. And for perspective, Djokovic has played 38 Slam finals. He's won 24, but he's also lost 14. So when Alcaraz is stacking major titles like this already, it makes the whole future GOAT debate look very real. So that's the young resume. And if it was just the resume, you could still argue its numbers, timing, error, and sustainability. But his skill set is where the current conversation starts to shape up. He has elite touch and plenty of variety. He is arguably the most athletic tennis player we've ever seen. There are fast players, there are explosive players, there are flexible players. He's all of them and more. And his 5-set durability in his young career is beyond human. The forehand alone has about 5 different personalities. And that variety forces decision-making errors from opponents. That's what most complete looks like. But if you would have to nitpick, you would look at his backhand and his serve. Now let's narrow it down again, because the best way to keep this honest is the last 52 weeks. Not what he might be, not what he could become, what he's been. Over the last 13 tournaments, Alcaraz has made the final in 12 of them, where he took home the trophy 9 out of those 12 times. And the titles aren't just a random 250, it's the big stuff. You could point to the current field being weak, but that argument can get lazy quick. Today's level is possibly the highest we've ever seen across the board. Sure, it may lack depth, but the width of the field is simply incredible. For Alcaraz to continue showing up again and again like it's routine holds massive weight. And that brings us to the tournament that started this whole video. Doha was the perfect example of why Alcaraz is such a nightmare, because the run to the final was not 5 clean, routine wins. It started with Artur Rintiknek, who has a big serve, and is the kind of first round where you can lose a set without playing badly. Alcaraz nearly did. He got dragged into a tiebreak, faced set points, and still found a way through. Then came Valentin Royer. On paper, it looked straightforward, until the second set turned in Royer's favour. He was down late, and just when the match was leaning towards a third set, Alcaraz flipped it. He reeled off a run of games to take the victory. But the main event was his match against Khachanov in the quarters. Khachanov took the first set in a tight battle of massive hitting, which was likely the best set of tennis all year. Alcaraz remained calm and slowly took control. After a sharper second set, he controlled the third, and the match drifted back into his hands. Then came Rublev in the semi-final, the defending champion, and it turned into a hitting contest. But Alcaraz absorbed it and still created enough chances to win. Even then, he needed 6 match points before Rublev finally gave in. So when he walked into the final with Fils, he had already been tested in every way, and the final was a non-contest. It was total suffocation. But if we're gonna talk best we've ever seen, there's one comparison that simply has to happen. Because you don't get to say best we've ever seen without looking at the standard. Peak Djokovic represents the cleanest dominance we've ever watched. He is also the only player to win every Masters 1000, and he didn't just do it once, he did it twice. But Alcaraz is sprinting toward that territory. He has already won 6 of the 9, and the 3 missing are Canada, Shanghai, and Paris. At 22, that is a very real checklist. Now here is the mirror test. If you want the single most impressive modern benchmark season, it is Djokovic 2015. That year, he won 3 majors and reached the final of all 4. He won a record 6 Masters 1000 titles in one season. He reached 15 consecutive finals. He had 31 wins over top 10 players. And he capped it by winning the ATP finals as well. That season is the blueprint for dominance, the sport bent around him. So when we talk about Alcaraz, that is the level of historical standard we are comparing the trajectory to. And this is the part that should make everyone feel a little uncomfortable. Most great players hit their reliable prime somewhere between 25 to 28. Alcaraz is 22. So if this is the current version, with the completeness already showing up in the numbers and in the matchups, the peak window is still ahead. So is Alcaraz the best player we've ever seen? Greatest career? His career is still young. Best overall package? The stats say he holds like a top-tier server. The pressure numbers say he is still number 1. And the eye test says he has solutions that most players do not even have access to. Then you look up and remember what the pace actually is. 7 majors in 20 slam appearances. That is not normal. So I think we leave the question right there for now. His career will tell us what we need to know. But forgetting the stats for a second, what we are watching is new territory. A version of tennis that feels familiar in pieces, but different as a whole. We have seen elements of this in other players, the speed, the defense, the power, the touch. We just have not seen it rolled into one player like this early. So maybe the real question is not, is he the best we've ever seen? Maybe it's this. If this is the current version, what does the finished version look like? Because that is the version that could set a new precedent. And how lucky are we to watch it unfold in real time?